One of the most important lessons that I've learned in being my own business owner since 2010 is that there is no such thing as a best business, because success is found by the best business operators. I know that there's many people that stop from starting their business because they're worried that their offering or their product isn't perfect. For me, when I started my current 7-figure business, which is all about being an online business coach, creating courses and communities, specifically coaching businesses with their help with their Google Ads programs. When I first started to talk to friends and different family members and other people about this, one of the common feedbacks I was getting was, why would someone buy your course for $6 or $7 or even $1,000 or more when they can go onto a site like Udemy and buy a course for under $50? When in fact, that was the wrong question to ask. Whatever your product or whatever your service is, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll be able to find cheaper variations of that product or service, or even far more expensive versions of that product or service. And when I bring it back to my own example of starting in this course creation and online coaching space for the last 3 years, I've learned that that is 100% true. It's not about being the best business or the best product, it's about being the best operator. Let me give you some stats from my other business, which, as I mentioned before, is all about creating online courses, online coaching platforms, and also online communities, teaching business owners and freelancers how to profitably build Google Ads campaigns. And in that time, I've grown the largest YouTube channel. So right now, at time of watching this video, that channel has just under 90,000 subscribers. And when we look at YouTube channels who only focused on Google Ads, so there are larger channels that do digital marketing and reach into other things. But when we're talking about channels that only teach on Google Ads, there's a whole heap of the channels, but mine is the outlier. It's close to, as I said, nearly 90,000, with the next closest channels ranging around 35,000. Then there's a couple of channels that are in the 20s, and then there's a whole heap of channels which are under 20,000. And many of those channels have been active and on the YouTube platform far longer than what I have. As I mentioned, I'm just coming up to 3 years now. There's been channels that have been, going for 7-10 years, and they're not even at a third of the audience size that I have in my channel. Also as well, in terms of our sales, as I mentioned that is now a 7-figure business through online sales and our communities. So it all comes down to, is my Google Ads course the absolute best course, or am I the absolute best teacher in the world at Google Ads? And for both of those questions, I would answer that I just don't really know. And the reason for that is because my focus is not to be the absolute largest Google Ads channel. And I didn't know whether you could really judge as to whether I have the absolute best Google Ads course. Now, there is a minimum standard, and I would say that I'm above that minimum standard in that I'm highly skilled at running Google Ads campaigns. It's something that I've done since 2010, and year after year, I've generated successful and profitable campaigns for my clients. So I know that I'm highly skilled at Google Ads. I also know that my course is of a high level. The reason why I know that is that in that 2 years since we launched our first course, we've sold over 4,500 courses, and we're getting positive feedback. And not only that, we are seeing that students who take on their course, their Google Ads campaigns are becoming more profitable after they've done our course. So it is a very, very good product, and I do have a level of skill in teaching in that area. But as I said, it's not about being the best in that business. And this is something I've been thinking about for a while. And sometimes when you read an article, it really articulates a thought that you'd had for quite a while. There's a soft drink brand here, which is really well known in Australia. Some of you may know it. I don't know where you're watching in the world. If you ever come to Australia, this is the best ginger beer that you will ever drink. It's called Bundaberg Ginger Beer. Take that back, it may not even be the best, but you will see it everywhere. Now, when the current owners of this business bought the brand back in the 1960s, the soft drinks landscape in Australia was very different. In that small town alone of Bundaberg, there were 5 different soft drink manufacturers. And then back in the 60s, Australia only had a population of 10 million people, but they had over 300 different soft drink brands. And the family that was about to buy this business, they were worried because they didn't know whether their product was the absolute best product. They knew that it was good because they were looking at buying it because they had tasted it, and to them it tasted like the best ginger beer they'd ever had before, but they weren't 100% sure whether it was the absolute best on the market. And it wasn't until he spoke to a business mentor who gave him this line, and he said direct point blank to him, there is no such thing as a best business, the best operator wins. And for him, he then said that switched his focus to he was going to become the best business operator that he could be. So when I took that into my own businesses, as I mentioned before, I know that I've got a very good product product and I know that I'm a good teacher in that area. But as I said, I stopped worrying about whether I was the absolute best or not. And I looked at focusing on the operations that would drive our business success. So in this video, I want to talk about the 3 essential areas that you need to focus on, which will allow you to become the best business operator. And this is going to be especially relevant for those of you who are focusing on course creation, online coaching, and creating online paid communities. And if you're looking for extra help in that area, what I want to do before we get into the teaching is I also want to let you know that if you follow the link in the description below, you're going to have access to some extra teaching, which is what I call Start Earning from Your Expertise Planner. And what this is going to do is this is going to help you map out how you can get paid for what you know so that you can put down all of your knowledge into a course, but then also sell that course. So if you want to get that extra help, just follow that link in the description below. But right now, let's get into those 3 essential operations that you need to focus on as a content creator. And the first core thing that you need to focus on is converting your views to database members. So what you want to be doing is whatever form of content you are putting out there into the world, whether it be YouTube videos or a podcast like you're listening to here, or whether it's on a platform like LinkedIn or through any of the other social media platforms, the main thing that you want to be doing is in every single piece of content you release, you always want to have an opportunity for someone to come in and join your database. You may not be aware of this, but only 4% of all content creators actually earn over $100,000 a year. The main reason for this is because many content creators are focusing on the wrong metrics. There's this whole thing of them wanting to go viral, for them to get the most views, for them to get the most likes, for them to get the most followers. Now, I'm not saying that those metrics are bad. Obviously, getting a video with 100 views is better than a video with 10 views. And for me and my business, it's a lot easier now on my other channel, which has up to 90,000 subscribers, whereas this new channel, which I've just started, we're still under 1,000 subscribers at the time of recording. And this is one of my first podcasts. So when we just released it, the reach wouldn't be very fast. So obviously it does help your business immensely to have more views, more downloads, and more plays on your content. But don't be deceived by that. That's not the end game. For every piece of content that I release, the core metric I'm looking at is not the views, it's actually how many people of those views or downloads join my database. And the reason for why this is so important is because I love platforms like YouTube, I love the social media platforms, I love podcasts, but with those platforms, you do not own that audience. My other YouTube channel currently gets, let's just say 200,000. Sometimes it's slightly more, sometimes it's slightly less. They're getting 200,000 views every 28 days. But do you want to know over the last 28 days, in terms of my subscribers, as I mentioned, we're just under 90,000 subscribers. Only 35% of people who viewed my content in the last 28 days are subscribers. So when I talk about that you don't own your audience, you have to remember that when you release new content, if someone's a follower or a subscriber, chances are they're not going to see that. So that's why you want to make sure that with every piece of content you're releasing, you're giving people an invitation to extend their learning. And then when they extend that learning, they opt in, and that's where you can collect their email. So the first thing you want to focus on is you want to focus on that you make sure that you've got a strategy in place to convert people from viewing your content through to joining your database. And then it comes to the second core operation that you need to focus on, and that is nurturing your database to sales. So the first part is moving them from a viewer through to joining your database. The second part of the operation for a successful operation, especially if you're a content creator or creating your online course or your communities, is you're moving them from joining your database to actually starting to buy your courses, enter into your coaching programs, join your communities, whatever the situation is in terms of your products that you're selling. And right now, I want to break down the 3 ways that I follow that nurturing process to move them from just joining my database to actually going through and parting with some of their hard-earned money and buying one of my courses or joining one of my coaching programs or my communities. And the first one is that I'm always having constant contact with them. Every single Monday, and in this current business, it's every single Tuesday, my whole database gets an email from me, and this email has nothing to do with sales. It's me sharing with them any relevant updates in our industries, and also me letting them know about the new free teaching that I'm releasing on my various platforms this week. Nothing to do with sales. It's more just me keeping in contact with my community, with everyone on my database, and letting them know, hey, here's some free training. If you've got these questions, this is what we're focusing on this week with my teaching. The second part of this step of nurturing them from joining my database into becoming a paying customer is that, remember how I mentioned before how I'm really big on getting people to join my database. Once you've joined my database, you go through a new joiner sales process. And what this process is essentially me doing is thanking them for joining my database, and then I'll let them know that because they've joined my database, they're going to get a special offer which is valid over the next 7 days. Then through that next 7 days, you may know this is what we call a sales funnel. We're then sending them some extra training, so giving them bonuses that they didn't ask for. And then we're giving them reminder emails, going through all of our selling points, our testimonials, and just giving them the opportunity that if they want to buy one of our courses or join one of our communities, this first 7 days that you're part of our database is the time to do it, because you're going to get this extra discount. And then the third part of my strategy that'll move them from joining my database to actually becoming a paying customer is that I give them sales promotions. Now, I do this quarterly, and these are scheduled throughout the year, where I email my whole database and I let them know about a different sale that's coming up. Now, for me, the usual way that I schedule this is 3 promotions and then also a product launch. And generally my product launch is an upgrade to a course, or it could be a brand new product that I'm running. So they're the 3 ways that I really focus on in moving people from not just being on my database, but to being a paying customer. And then the last core operation that I'm really focusing on is that I'm doing everything within my power to ensure that my students are learning and applying what they learn in my courses. Now, you may be aware of this, but the vast majority of online courses are never actually completed. Now, some people see that as a real negative. Obviously, we want people to complete courses, but it's also understanding that some people buy courses for very specific reasons, in that they may just want to learn something in one of those modules, or 2 of those modules, or 3 of those modules. So what I am really talking about here is that they're getting value out of my course, in that the courses that they buy, they may not go through the whole entire course, but I want to make sure that the parts that they did go through are really the core essential learnings that they're looking at. So what I do here, and the reason for why this is so important, so I really look to follow up with those students to make sure that they're getting everything that they can out of the course. Now, a core way I do this is that every week with all of my courses, I go through and I answer any questions that people are asking. In my community, 3 times a week, I'm going through and answering any questions. So that's the first way. I make sure that we've got a good support system. Now, there's not only me, which provides the technical support, all of my students know how to reach out to our admin. So if they've got any problems of logging in or anything they need to make their learning experience easier, they can do that as well. The second way that I do this is remembering my previous point about constant contact. We've found that by just having regular emails to our students, it reminds them that, hey, I've bought that course, I need to go through and finish that course. And the reason for why it's so important for me that people are really getting and really learning the lessons which they bought my course or joined my community for is because if we can nurture them through that learning process, it's going to mean that we can then increase the relationships so they're buying extra products from us. We offer some high ticket coaching item products, and 97% of everyone who's gone through our high ticket items, they've first gone through a journey. They don't go straight into that high ticket item. Usually what they do, they buy a mini course, apply some of the learnings, see that that's helped them. They then buy a full course or join our community. They'll then test that out for sort of 3 to 6 months, and then they'll enter into the high ticket. So as a course creator, if you're also wanting to increase your revenue by selling high ticket items, a great strategy on achieving this is look at your current database. How can you engage them to make sure that they're getting the most out of your learning, because that is going to be the easiest place where you can sell your high ticket items. Thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. My name is Aaron Young from 7 Figure Coaching. And if you want to continue the learning, make sure that you follow the description below or see those show notes so that you can get that extra training and really map out how you can start earning from your expertise. And for those of you who are on YouTube, I want you to go through and watch this video right here, and that will show you how you can build your own 6-figure funnels. For those of you that are just listening to the audio version of this podcast, I'll also put that video link in the show notes of this podcast. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.